Cool. Have you tried Googling Squid Games?
Yeah, the game that comes off. But okay, so I tried to see what happens when you lose. Like, does it shoot your character or something? But no, it's just like one of them turns around and walks away in slow motion. But yeah, you can play red light, green light as the Google Doodle. It's 2025, and this is our first episode of 2025. What a great way to start your year. Actually, I mean, the year has already been around for a bit. But
Mhm.
anyway, welcome. How are you, Sophia? What's been up with you in the last 2 weeks since we saw you?
Well, the most exciting part is I got new nails and they're so pretty.
Really? Oh my God, doing the mostest.
So obsessed, guys, so obsessed.
Yeah, new year, new nails.
Yeah, exactly. Because I thought like it was a very hard and arduous year and I made it, so I had to treat myself. And this is how I decided to do it. What about you? How was your couple weeks, past couple weeks?
It's been very chill. I went to a wedding of
Mm.
somebody significantly younger than me, which is fine. Like I'm happy for them, but as somebody who by social standards is past her like marriageable age, attending somebody's wedding who is very young invites more questions. Like there was so many people being like, "Oh, we skipped your generation."
I think this really ties into like what Noona Talk is about, where people feel like there is this very specific age that you're allowed to enjoy things or have things. But like Noona Talk is built in this idea that no matter what your age, you can do whatever you want. So you don't have to get married at any age, honestly.
Yeah, or do anything. Like there's no age is not the reason why you should or shouldn't be doing something.
That's
Like it's what you want to do.
exactly like what brings you joy. Marie Kondo it.
Yeah, and oh my God, I so go look at us on Instagram. We're at Noona Talk, exactly like it sounds. I posted this reel about like how being a fan is really great because you get to participate in somebody else like creating art and something that brings joy and all of that. And I was like, that's such a beautiful statement. And then I realized all my clips, especially for that reel, were like me attending concerts and things. And I was like, that's why all the more it makes sense to be a fan as an adult because you finally have the money to go to concerts
That's
and
so
buy
true.
merch.
Yeah.
Like, why is it restricted to somebody in high school or whatever? Like, you can't go. I can.
Mm.
But
So
yeah.
what concerts do
Oh
you
my
have
God.
planned for this year?
For this year, I'm watching one with you.
Oh my god.
So exciting. But yeah, nothing K-pop yet. I'm waiting for announcements. I did try to do ticketing for 17 in Bangkok in February.
Oh.
And at that time, this is on me, absolutely on me. At that time, I hadn't really like I wasn't really sure. I was like, I'll see because honestly, 17 tickets are so expensive. Like, especially in comparison to other acts that I've seen. But it makes sense because like
There
the
are
per
13 of them, all of them
idol,
need to get paid.
exactly, and per idol cost is not bad because
Unit
there's so
cost
many.
is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the entire like and the unit cost is a lot. So I wasn't really sure if I wanted to or not. And by the time I decided, it was sold out. So I didn't
That's
miss out. But I'm waiting. I've said this in a previous video. I predict a two sock concert.
mhm.
Not necessarily tour, but I do think they're going to do something together. There's too much, and I think Hobie is gonna come out with a new album anytime soon. Like I there's just too much in the air. Like if you go and watch the Run Jin episode where he kidnapped Hobie, before that, Hobie's like been lured into a meeting where they're discussing the 2025 plan. So
Mhm.
clearly, obviously, there is a 2025 plan.
Are you looking forward to anything? Have you been watching something?
I did watch something, and that's what we're here to talk about.
What? I'm
Um,
bullish.
I feel like people read the title, they know.
Okay.
But this is this. I'm very confident. I've said this before, but just in case, I'm admitting to my secret. I've never watched Squid Game. I mean, there is a legitimate reason. It's not that I don't think it's interesting. I think
Oh.
everything about it was great. However, I worked
Mhm.
in news for like a decade. Okay. Which has exposed me to the realities of life, society, crime in a way that I'm good.
Hmm.
Like when I walk away, like I TV and like movies, dramas, whatever, has always been an escape for me. So I want to watch something light, silly, or fun. And Squid Game is a little like
The
too
opposite.
close to reality. Like I have similarly, I've never watched Black Mirror.
It's
Yeah.
interesting that you say that because I find Squid Games to be like I can watch it because I don't associate it with reality. Like it feels like kind of like the Saw of this generation. Like, it's just some absurd. It's so absurd that I don't think it's real. Like, it's just like hell, super fiction. Like, something like maybe Money Heist is more real.
Very real. Okay.
Yeah, but Squid Games just feels like it is supposed to be a commentary on society, but I'm just like, okay, this is like too elaborate. This is like too fictional, which is
No,
why I
but there
can
are
watch.
elements of it which, I mean, again, I haven't seen season one.
Hmm.
There will be spoilers. I'm warning everyone now. But like there have been elements of it that I do think are very inspired by real life. The whole
Of
like
course.
disparity between rich and poor, the have and have nots, the
Hmm.
desperation for money. I think there's also a very important symbolism that happens through the show,
Hmm.
which like just by existing on the internet, I know. So there is heavy inspiration from
For
life.
sure. So the second season is out and we haven't seen it yet. So we thought that we will watch the first episode of Squid Game season 2 and do this episode of K-drama or K-flop where we review the first episode of a K-drama and then we tell you whether it's worth continue watching or not. Let's go watch it.
It's really
So,
sad. If you're watching us on YouTube, there is absolutely no way that I can include clips of the show because Netflix is so fast with that copyright strike button. Our very first K drama K flop was Crash Landing on You,
mm,
and we tried to insert clips. We tried to put ourselves watching the show, and usually copyright strikes means that it gets taken down in certain countries. They took down our whole video, like the entire episode.
you can watch it on your own or you can like read our review or like listen to our review and then decide whether you want to watch it or not. So let's like start maybe with a brief of what went on. I think
Hmm.
I don't know because I think this is interesting that we're doing this together because I have seen the first season and you have not. And um I found that the first episode was so reliant on what happened in the past. Like it was just the story just continued. That as a new watcher, did you feel like what's happening, or was it
No, not really. Honestly, because so much of Squid Game is just talked about and is on the internet. So it's not like
don't know?
you go in cold. There's no
Mm,
way that you can go in completely unaware. And there was a lot of context clues.
okay.
There was not it wasn't like things were missing. I think there were some things that were explained a little further in, like oh my god, character names. I should have see that's the thing you don't know when you don't have like when you haven't watched the thing. Character names. But yeah, the Junho, the police officer's
Hmm.
role, like I didn't understand that. I didn't get that for a
Yeah.
while.
Okay.
But then yeah, like there was nothing where I was like, huh.
Okay. So, like, in a brief about what happened is that so the last scene of Squid Game season 1 is our main character, Song Gi Hoon. Um, he's at the airport. He's won the Squid Games and he is going to visit his daughter, who he had neglected for years, and she ended up moving to the States. And, like, at the minute where he's about to board the flight, he has a change of mind and he turns around. Now, we don't know why, and then that's where it continues and that's where the first thing starts where he's coming back and we realize that he's going back because he wants to end the Squid Games because he believes that it causes a lot of suffering, and he was also being tracked, which was super shady, but it's the Squid Games. And then the other guy, the police officer Hong Juno, he was fighting the main character, the main Squid Games guy and their
The
brothers.
front man.
The front man, yeah. And at the end of it, the front man pushes him off a cliff. That's where it ends. So I was really sad because he's so pretty that I was like, oh no, is he dead? But like, he's not dead.
Wait, did the reveal of the frontman not happen in season one?
No, we don't know who he is.
I mean, we
We
know it
know
in
who he
season
is,
two.
but his mask is still on.
Oh, okay. Because in the flashback that they showed in season two,
Hmm.
he's unmasked.
Oh, they show his face? Then maybe I forgot.
Okay, in the flashback they showed him unmasked, and I don't know. Now I know I warned about spoilers, but it's Juno's brother.
Yeah, yeah. Juno,
Okay.
we know it's Juno's brother. Okay.
Oh, okay. So he is unmasked then. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
that's true. I don't, maybe I just don't
Juno's
remember his face.
adoptive older brother?
Okay, इतने डिटेल नहीं याद है.
Okay.
But whatever, they had history. We thought Juno was dying. I was just sad that Juno was dying because he's so hot. And I really liked him in DP as well. If you haven't seen that, you should. Anyway, he's alive. He's also still searching. So his whole goal was like trying to track down the island in the first season. And he got too close. He girl boss too close to the sun and then he fell off. And now he's also looking. Gihun is also looking. So everyone's looking for the front man, and then we have the recruiter again who's recruiting people, and then there's like a bunch of things happen. The recruiter ends up meeting Gihun, and they end up
Gion,
playing a game of Russian roulette.
Russian. Right.
Yeah, and then even Gihun and Junho meet at the end, and where I don't think they trust each other a lot, but they kind of have a common goal. So it sets up an
Hmm.
interesting, I think, precedent for where the rest of the season is going to.
I hadn't watched a trailer or anything. I think it's fairly obvious what's going to happen in the rest of the season.
Like they're gonna shut down the.
No, I think that he's going to go back into the game. Like he's
Hmm.
going to say, drag race or winners season.
Yeah, yeah, for sure he is, and but like I just mean in terms of like how this uncovering and shutting down of the Squid Games is going to go, because that's their goal. That has been their goal in the first season as well, and now they're both like
Okay.
aligning goals. So
So this is really interesting. I thought, because again, like haven't seen season one, I assumed again based on context clues that the Junho's goal was finding his brother, and that he
initially,
became a masked person. What is that? What
hmm.
are they? The masked sentry people
No, the
to
front man,
find
like
the brother.
the front man is just the host of the Squid
No, not
Games.
the front man. The other ones who wear the pink suit, the
Oh,
guards.
yeah, I think they're just like guards or
Huh, so
whatever
he becomes one of those
NPCs.
to find his brother
Hmm.
as, and then he becomes obsessed with finding the island and everything like that. Okay, what are your thoughts about the first episode? Like, tell me the
So
good.
okay, the good. I think
Hmm.
okay, I'll tell you what I loved the most is the second half of the first episode, where the recruiter, like the minute the recruiter comes in, it gets so interesting. I think initially, like, I know you have to kind of set like the storyline. So I think they're building threads of the new contestants and things like that. And where have the old people, what have they been up to? And sure, whatever, like that's basic, but like the recruiter comes in and it's this scene again. This episode is just filled with spoilers. So I guess if you haven't seen it, you should watch it first and then listen to this. Where he goes to this whole in a park with a lot of homeless people, and he presents them with a piece of bread and or a lottery ticket, and they can choose one. And all of them choose the lottery ticket, and then he gives them a coin, and they scratch the coin, scratch the lottery ticket, they lose. He takes the coin back from them, which is also a very significant thing, because some of them are a little like hesitant of giving the coin back. And then he does not give them the bread, and at the end he throws all the bread on the floor, and then he's like, I didn't throw all this bread away, you did. And then he like destroys it, which is a little cray cray, let's all admit, like not regular rational human behavior. But it was so like meaningful, like it was so symbolic.
Hmm. No, I agree. I feel like even I think that's the name of the episode as well. I think it's Bread and Lottery, which
Yeah.
is, and it was really telling, I think, of human nature. I mean, I personally, what would you do? Would you choose a lottery ticket or the bread?
Bread. Because, like, what are the odds of winning a lottery?
Fair, yeah, same. I think I'm a strong believer of like bird in the hand. So like
Hmm.
take the bread. And very interestingly, one homeless person in that entire sequence does choose the bread. So I was like, my man's.
That's so true.
Um, no, I do think that was like a really powerful sequence,
Hmm.
which I mean, again, all of this is based on first episode only. I don't think has any relevance to the story.
I think it does because like the whole basis of Squid Games is like exploiting really poor people with this hope that you can get something amazing. Like you can get
Hmm.
paid out for the rest of your life if you win the Squid Games, but either you get that or you die. Like it's just that. And I think that choice right there was what they're given. And like the fact that so many people end up choosing the lottery ticket is because when you're down the dumps, you're literally looking just for a miracle to save you. And it was like exploiting that um concept. Hope, yeah.
I think it's very telling of like human nature. And I think a lot of the show, you're right, is exploitative, but is also, I don't know, it just showcases greed in such a specific way. And it's
Yeah.
everyone's greed, right? Like, even the haves have their greed of wanting to watch this game play out. Like, they needed to, for whatever reason, maybe it's to for them to feel alive, because once you've like hit a amount of money, then like, can money buy you happiness and all of that nonsense,
Yeah.
which I do not agree, personally, cannot agree with that. Or like the have nots who have their very specific greed of money, which will solve their problems. So I think, yeah, Squid Game feels very greed oriented, like the original sin. No, was
Hmm.
greed the original sin? Lust was the original sin. What was the
No,
original sin?
it was greed.
Because she ate the apple. Is hunger not the original sin then?
Just Googling that real quick. Okay. It's just the condition of sinfulness that all humans share.
Okay. Okay.
That's
So
it.
I feel like that's the circle of
Hmm.
this entire narrative that's there. Something that's not necessarily specific to like this first episode as such. I personally really think trilogies are very. It's a hard narrative
Mm-hmm.
because for any of y'all out there who are like maybe going into storytelling for TV or even books, actually, for that matter, 4 acts is the standard. 4 acts is
Mm-hmm.
standard. You can do more, of course, and you can do less. That's the thing. But trilogies, I think, are very, very difficult.
Hmm.
Like, and very impactful if done well. Like Star Wars, the original Star Wars are a trilogy. Lord of the Rings, the movies were broken into a trilogy. Squid
Love
Game, as we
yourself.
now know, yeah, Squid Game, as we now know, is also a trilogy. And I think it's really hard to put your narrative in 3 acts as opposed to 4,
Mm-hmm.
because that high and low thing, how do you manage that? So I
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of respect for the creators to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm assuming, I mean, honestly, even if it's not for me, I see the,
Appeal.
not the, I don't know if it's the appeal, but I see why it's popular. I get it.
Mm. Yeah, it's like very interesting storytelling in a time where it's just interesting, like symbolic storytelling is kind of not dead, but it's not out there as much. I think a lot of things that come out in media today are very direct. And not to say that's bad, but it's always good to be like challenged with something that's a little more eclectic and weird,
Hmm.
and it might not be the most pleasant thing to watch, which I agree. Like I also watch it with like but yeah, I do
I also
appreciate.
really, I mean, this is, oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, that's it. I just appreciate that it's out there for people to still watch.
Huh, it's always good to have diverse media viewing options. Something, again, one another very like technical aspect. Thus, the filming and editing of it is very interesting because it's never one format. Like the camera movements keep switching up. Like sometimes they get very documentary handheld filmmaker style. Sometimes they follow very strict, like the Russian roulette scene between Gong Yu and sorry, the salesman. and Gyun is done so well, where it's a very static shot of both of them on like one third of the same point of the screen. And it's not, then it doesn't become a dialogue conversation, it becomes monologuish. And it's just very interesting. Like, there's always, I think, editing has played a really heavy role in this. And I mean, not just in this, everything, but you can tell that there was a thought behind it where this is how the look would happen, which then helps you decide how to feel as an
Hmm.
audience. And I think that's done really well. Like, there are scenes where he's on the phone and like the camera pans around him as if he's worried about what's going to happen. So he's looking around and thinking. Um, Again, I haven't seen season one. Why did he have that horrible red hair in the beginning?
Yeah, I don't get it. I think it's just like, you know how,
Was that
like,
the final game? Dye your hair really ugly.
you know how you break up and you have to color your hair, like it's a thing. Maybe like once he got done with the Squid Games, it was like he wanted to be a new year, new me girly.
Also, okay, I think now we're veering into cons.
Okay.
But
Before we do cons, I just want to mention, since you were talking about like interesting filming, or I don't know if that's as interesting, but I really like the scene where Gongyu is playing the Russian roulette and the rock paper scissor -1 game with the people previously. And initially, when they're just sitting there, I was just wondering like, how are they gonna show their hands? And I thought they're just gonna do an aerial view, but what it does is it splits into a three pan screen where in the
hmm,
center you can see their hands and on the sides you can see their faces, and that was like really well done. Like it gave me the entire story and I really appreciated that.
but even that entire scene, if you see from the point where it starts, where like they suddenly cut to it and they're both bound on their chairs,
Yeah.
is a really wide scene. And as the game progresses, you keep going tighter and tighter and tighter because the tension of the scene is increasing.
Because at the end it's just like zoom into their faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but did you
It's
guess that the boss was gonna lose on purpose?
no,
Oh,
no,
I thought you
absolutely
were.
not. Absolutely not. I feel like I wasn't able to even gauge the depth of their relationship up till that point.
True.
Um, the actor himself, the guy who played Wusok,
Hmm.
I've seen him in other K dramas, and I had recognition, not name, facial recognition with him. So I assumed that he would be a character that stays for a while, which was proven by the salesman at the end of the episode in a very negative way. I thought he'd be around. I was like, he's such a big actor. But so clearly my theory was wrong. But
Yeah.
yeah, Wusok, I think is going to be there for a longer time in the season.
Hmm.
Um, okay. Not cons necessarily, but I feel like there are a lot of points of like, huh? Weh? Nah? For me.
Hmm.
Primary of which is these people, like the whoever the organizers of the game are, feel extremely wealthy, powerful, influential, and very tactical.
Hmm.
You're telling me all they did is put a tracker in behind his ear. That's it. And for 2 years he was underground and they didn't find him. Not even underground. He like he used his regular driving license and everything
But honestly, I didn't understand why they were tracking him.
just to keep tabs on your winners, I guess. Like even in Hunger Games, when they like win the Hunger Games, they go out and like the the Senate, the capital, the main people,
Hmm.
Snowden, I don't know, but they like keep a track of the winners.
Yeah, I guess if you have to do an all stars, you'll have to know where they are to call them back anyway.
Yeah, I guess, and it's a lot of money that you throw at somebody, so you just kind of make want to make sure that they're not doing something with it. I don't know, but like you kind of just want to keep make sure. I guess that's
Hmm.
what I think.
Yeah, like I agree, and I think for me, it's the other part where I know that he wants to shut it down, but for me, the motivation of him going back was just not strong enough. It's just not like he was like, oh, I had to suffer, and we saw the suffering. Like like Squid Games is such a terrible, terrible place. It's like, why would you voluntarily want to go back, and why do you think you're
Not
capable of?
of surviving again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not just that. Again, like based off of just this episode. Why do you want to go back? Or like stop this? You've got the money, run.
I guess Stop
Like,
This is the hero's journey aspect of things where you give a shit about things beyond just
you
yourself.
know what's a good hero? The one who shows up for his child.
Yeah, like you just, I think, and I really like that part with the recruiter where he's like, you might think you're better or whatever, but you're also shit. And I was like, yeah, like you are still a negligent dad, so you know.
And like has also stockpiled the entirety of the money. Like it's not even like he sent the money to the kid or something.
True.
Like something, right? We're all out here being like, hoping for one relative to send us enough money or like a property or something that so that we can stop working. And this entire man is sitting on 45 billion won, which I don't know how much is in dollars, but like I'm assuming it's a lot, and not handing it over. I mean, it's one thing to be an absentee dad; it's another thing to be an absentee rich dad.
Yeah, at least give them the money.
Yeah. And don't just like, I feel like the revenge storyline, the avenging the people I was in the Squid Game with storyline, just for me doesn't make sense because, as far as I can understand, the time spent in the game is not very long. Like, I think it's a week. Are you really sacrificing everything for people you've known a week?
That's true. $30 million. Um, it's I think it's not the sacrificing for the people, but just like ending the suffering in general, because it's going to keep happening.
But aren't they, the people, weren't they already suffering? Like,
Mm.
yes, this feels like a very dramatic way of euthanizing, but aren't you already suffering?
Yeah, but like it's not like healthy to like die that way. It's very intense.
I mean, sure, yeah, I guess it gave a little bit of survivor's guilt where like people come back from wartime being like, oh, I saw so many of my brethren fall, and now I'm mad. Um, I don't know. They don't seem to go after their governments afterwards, but who knows? I don't know. It to me it really didn't feel like that was a good enough reason to then dedicate so much money, so much time, and that he's been looking for the salesman for the last 2 years. All of that, it just felt like like honestly, now that I'm saying it out loud, it makes sense. Like this is a man who's proven time and again that he was irresponsible with money and life decisions. Why are we expecting him to change?
True. And this is like something to do.
You know, retired people have to stay active.
Like your project, like some people garden, some people knit. He wants to take down the front man. Um, but okay, other things that probably weren't as nice. I like overall, I've not this episode because it's just a setup, but I feel like I don't know how unique they can make. Like, is it just going to be Squid Games all over again? Like, will we again just have characters? We'll have the games. I know I've seen a few spoilers where you do have the Dalgona candy game and all of that, or the red light green light ones. So then I'm just like, I kind of don't want to watch that. Like, if someone has seen season one, you've already seen, you felt the tension, you felt all of those feelings. I'm like, what more is being brought to the table? Like, is it his like journey of trying to beat the system, which is going to be interesting, or what is it? One thing I am like looking forward to is TOP, like obviously, and purple hair from Big Bang.
Oh my god, that's who it was. Oh my god, I kept looking and thinking, I must have seen him in something. I must have seen him in something. Oh, that's not even in the first episode.
It's not,
But
but I'm
like,
looking forward to it.
no, so, we'll get into it later. But like, I am shook. You're right, that is him. I kept thinking I've seen him in something, and I just didn't have the time to like look into the Google cast. Oh my god, of course that's him. And that's why he's playing that, like he's playing some like online rapper.
Oh, that's funny. And I think it's really significant because he has officially, by his own words, like quit the music industry. Like he's not in Big Bang anymore. He doesn't want to deal with Like he doesn't want to
That's
be,
why okay, fair. Fair.
yeah, in that situation, because he
That's why he
has like,
wasn't in the Mama performance also,
yeah,
right?
like he has officially left Big Bang.
But
And
then why did you play a rapper on TV? Like,
he
leave
was.
the music industry to go play somebody, like typecasting.
Yeah.
Oh my god, his
But
character name, big spoiler because this is not even in the first episode, but his character name is Thanos.
because he has purple hair.
I don't know if it's because of the purple hair, but like it's very interesting given like how Thanos also has this whole like trash needs to be removed from the earth. And I don't know if it's necessarily like they've thought of it that way, like they've made it prophetic in a sense, but it's interesting. But yeah, you're right. I do understand like not wanting to go through the entire process of Squid Game again. Like the novelty in the first season was the game and watching how it happened and watching the people go through it. In season two, I don't think it's going to be the same games.
Yeah. And also knowing that there's a season three means that they're not going to end it this season. So then
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
like, what exactly are we looking forward to when watching it?
I know for me, and this is what I was going to say, like, aside from this whole revenge, avenging, ending the Squid Game plan, if it was me, my sole purpose would be like morbid curiosity. I want to
Hmm.
know who these are and why this happens and where they get their money from because it's a lot of money. And like clearly you can tell like they've gone through um trial and error to figure
Hmm.
out like how much money per contestant, how to get the contestants, everything, all of these sort of things that it is a planned process. So I'm assuming it's been going on for a while. And given the salesman final monologue,
Hmm.
it again gives the impression that this has been going on for a while. Which also, okay, let's talk about that monologue because I thought it was a really interesting one. I don't understand this dependence on game. Like I get this second word of the title is Squid Game. Why do you gotta play Russian roulette? Like if you've got him in the room, like pin him down, ask him questions. Why are you being all aggressive and like this weird posturing where it's like, oh, you think you're the hero, and it's like, no, I think you're the monster.
I
Ask him
didn't
the who is
understand.
your master. Stop calling him a lap dog.
Yeah, like I didn't understand that. I was like, why are you agreeing to play? Like, fine, the salesman is like, great, great, and he just wants to play a game. Like, he's lost it at this point. But why are you giving into that? Like, just, yeah, exactly to your point. Pin him down.
Yeah, ask questions, be like get something, use him as the bait to get to the front man if that's your goal. Like it
Yeah.
seemed very short-sighted, and it honestly it gave like retirement person just needs to have something to do.
Yeah, like it wasn't very well thought out.
Yeah.
And
um okay, do you have anything else
just
to add?
sorry, I was clarifying one thing about where the money comes from, and it was
Oh,
like one of the contestants in the previous season who this later on found out is like a super rich dude who just put aside money to do this because he wanted to
the
entertain fans.
contestants.
So he just participated in it for fun because but he started it.
Okay. In,
It's
okay.
it's bizarre.
Mm, okay. Wow. Okay. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah. Like okay, I guess it's a closing note as opposed to like initial note. So no.
Okay. I think it's fairly obvious, but do you think it's a K drama or a K flop?
Okay, mixed feelings. Because I'll be very honest. Like,
Ooh,
while I'll tell you, the great thing about Squid Games is the way it's like short filmed. Like okay, character development was interesting in the first season. I don't know how the season is going to go, but the interesting parts were all the film elements as opposed to the storyline itself, which in my opinion isn't very gripping. Like the ending of season one, giving away like this guy who was super rich and just wanted to play a game, to me that's not very, like it's not passionate enough a reason to do something this intense. Like just being bored and rich is not a good enough reason for me. Like it's not a character motivation for creating this big thing. And that's where Squid Games kind of didn't, like at the end I was a little disappointed. So the thing about season 2 is it's interesting. I enjoyed the first episode a lot, but it left me feeling like why? Like I'm not. I'm not sold on the idea. And I think maybe I will watch it. I do think it's a K drama. Do think you should watch it if you enjoy it. I do believe it is very gory and kind of uh,
Hmm.
gross. So maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, I think it's interestingly created, and I think that makes it worth watching.
Hmm. I think hard agree that it is a K drama. I don't think anybody can. It'd be foolish to say otherwise. That it's not worth watching. Um, and having not watched any of season one, and just watching this one episode did make me. I am curious. I do want to know what happens. I'm not curious enough to watch the show. Just like I, gore as such isn't for me.
Mm.
Um, so this is something I also felt was very, I don't know, just personally I was just like, these are people who are already irresponsible with their money, and having this strange anger over the creators of Squid Game feels very odd to me, because your life was already bad.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
it was for whatever reason declining. Yes, some things are very situational and like you really can't help it, but especially what's his name, Gohin.
Jihoon?
Gohin? Ji-hoon, my god, terrible.
Yeah.
Especially in the case of Ji-hoon, like in the flashback, they showed that he had a lot of debt from betting on horse racing. So like that's an individual, that's a choice you have made. That's an individual thing. It feels like if you were this really nice person, or you tried your best at life and all of that, and then you got sucked into the games because of the tragicness of your life, and then had to go through the trauma, then at the end you come out of it being like, no, vengeance, I guess. But if you were already like in millions of won of debt because you were like an absentee father who was betting on horse racing, then you go through traumatic win something, do you really want to come, do you have a moral leg to stand on to be like, hey, these people are the bad ones?
I guess creating suffering for the sake of suffering, it raises this question like, who is in a moral place to decide whether somebody else should suffer or not? Like, that is the thing
But they
where
were
it.
already suffering is
No,
what
but
I mean. Like it's not like this
sure.
is new suffering.
But it is new suffering, right? Like, it's a very intense situation. It's like very do or die. You're like in constant stress and you're being shot dead.
It's
Like,
very do or die.
it is very do or die, and you're just being killed. Like, so are people who are maybe terrible, like, who is serving that justice, like, is there, like, who, just because some people are rich, do they get to take the laws in their hands and say these people's lives are so apathetic that it doesn't matter and we can just like kill them for fun? And then kind of like, is that okay? Like, okay, not asking you, but just like questioning it.
I know. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying in terms of like the story and plot. I guess
Hmm.
I do have like, I'm not emotionally attached to anybody in the show
Hmm.
because I didn't watch them go through what happened. Um, but yeah, I think that's why I'm just like, I don't get it. And now
Hmm.
that you've told me that that this game was originated by a guy who just had money, say, is that it? Like I was here being like, oh, why is this game happening? And now I find
I
out
mean,
it's
I'm
this.
sure there's more of a backstory that I don't remember because I have the attention span of a bee. But
Hey, bees
but
have
yeah,
great attention spans. They have to remember where the best flowers are.
okay, fine. Of a fruit
But
fly.
no, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Um, okay, are you ready for another secret?
Okay.
I watched the last episode of season 2 as well.
Oh, I love that. We have spoilers max, guys. Are we ready?
Yeah, it does end at a massive cliffhanger. It
Mm,
does. So I basically essentially wanted to know what happens. I was like, oh, okay, I don't think I'm invested enough to know the entirety of the series, but I do want to know like what happens, which is how I found out it was a trilogy, and I love like now I'm just like, but it is supposed to come out in 2025, which is now, so that's great. A year is a long time, yes, but at least it's within this year. It's not like 2026. You're not Shonda Rhimes making Bridgerton, which also just happens in a park. Like let's all calm down. Squid Game needs a set. And there were also okay. there were some elements, and I don't know what is inspired by what because I don't know timeline well enough, but like there were some parts that made me feel like I was watching a Mr. Beast video.
Okay, well, Mr. Beast, famously inspired by the Squid Games, also created Beast Games, so you know.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, that makes sense. I know he's also developing some Squid Game for Amazon TV, like Amazon Prime. He's making a actual game show
Mm-hmm.
where you can win money, and it's been very like, I don't know, mired in controversy and all of that. Like this filming is still going on, and people don't have like access to their medication, and there's a lot going on.
I see.
Go look up that independently if you want. Um, but yeah, I felt like, yes, spoilers, he does go back in the show, in the game, sorry. And the games aren't the same games. Like that is, it just feels like, yeah, they really want to make it a hero's journey, but this is not a hero that I am betting on. This is not the horse I am betting on.
I think I did read this somewhere where someone did say it's like none you know like it's like those shows where you're not rooting for any characters, and it's very hard to stay on to something like that because you need the audience to like you need a fruit that we need to hang on to be like
Yeah, there needs
this
to be
is who we're
bait.
looking for.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's been phenomenal for pop culture. Like the way that every single one of these games that they played, like even the Dakchi, the
Mm-hmm.
throwing game that they play in the subway station, like even that got so popular.
Yeah.
Dalgona became so popular after this. Like
Dalgona
it was,
started a whole like trend during COVID of people like beating up coffee and making dalgona or whatnot.
yeah. So and like everybody, I think for years dressed up as the Squid Game, like pink uniform people. So I think pop culture wise, this has been one of the biggest wave, which has been very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Because I wonder what it says about us as a society that this is a show that we've all decided to be like, wow, about. Like, I don't even mean that in a negative way. Like, are we relating to it? Are we agreeing to it? Are we, what is, like, I'm just so curious because I feel like everybody has different takes on it. I'm hoping, I'm assuming. And I don't think it's just as rudimentary or surface level as, oh, it is interesting. Like, I think there's more to it because nothing can take over the speed with which Squid Game has. And if you notice now on Netflix, it is dubbed in like a dozen languages.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the most watched Netflix season in the 24 hours or something. Like it broke all records. The second season.
Unsurprised,
Yeah.
unsurprised. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it is
I'm
it
really
is
curious. If
definitely.
you are one of those people who is a Squid Game fan, tell us in the comments below why you are. Because I'm just curious, honestly.
Yeah. As someone who is I wouldn't consider I don't know where I fall on the like the ranking of
Spectrum.
a fan or whatever, but I do believe like it's just it's very fascinating like the way it's made, the sets, the imagery of Squid Games is so, and I think in this era we're very visual creatures, so whenever something goes popular in pop culture there's always a very strong visual element for it, whether it's like Barbie, Wicked, even Brat, the Charlie XCX
Mm,
album. I think the visual aspect of things is so important, and Squid Games gives us very strong visuals, the circle, square, whatever, the logo itself.
triangle.
Yeah, the green and pink colors, the sets, the doll who plays like red light, green light, like those are such strong visual elements. And of course, there's a lot more to it, but I think that's what stays with you after everything. Like you can forget the story, you can forget how it made you feel, but like those elements stay and it's instantly recognizable. So in terms of just like as a marketeer, in terms of branding, it has such
Yeah.
strong branding and that really
And recall
helps.
value.
Yeah, and that really helps keep it. Like the other day, I was watching a creator who has a Squid Games eyeshadow palette, and I was like, that's insane. And the fact that
That
they
is
can create,
absolutely.
yeah, is because there's enough material for them to do so.
That is really interesting. Something that happens in season two, which I again don't know if it happens in season one, is that they show the POV of one of the masked guards. Like
Mm.
their life is also showcased.
Oh.
um, which like that genuinely made me want to watch the show. Like I wanted to go back and watch the series. I didn't. I just read about it instead. So, but that was very interesting, and that's what I mean when you want to I just have morbid curiosity, like
Hmm.
why, who, where, and like I really want there to be a bigger reason. It
Hmm.
cannot just be rich man. It cannot that cannot be it.
Yeah. Has to be a cult leader.
Or something, because even Junho's brother,
Hmm.
the front man, joins the game.
Crazy.
He comes in like as a mole.
Man, this is like that one Amitabh Bachchan and I don't know who movie where like there are two brothers and one of them is a cop and the other one is like this big time criminal.
Oh yeah, I Ajay Vijay. They're called Ajay Vijay in the movie. Isn't that it? Vijay the cop.
Oh, is it an Amitabh Bachchan double role?
Maybe. Wait. Are you also looking it up? Amitabh Bachchan movie where he's a criminal. My search 100% Dawn is going to come up.
Diwar.
Check. What?
Diwar.
Diwar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Shashi
okay.
Kapoor and Amitabh Bachchan. Yeah. Okay. Not a
I said,
double.
oh, okay, they're brothers.
Hmm.
Who's buying that?
It's Bollywood.
To be fair, yeah, we watched Karan Arjun, so I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's giving that. It's like one of your sons is a cop and the other one is like host of the worst games of all time.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. I mean, but this is what I mean. Like, there are rich people who do genuinely go onto these indigenous populated islands and hunt them for sport. It is a thing that does happen. And all of these things do go unchecked. So this show feels heavily rooted in reality. There are people irresponsible with money who are willing to do anything to get that quick coin. Um, so and Top's character was great. I've like the literally 11 seconds that I saw him in the final episode. Like I was like, oh, so yeah, you do meet a new host of characters and you do get like introduced to them and they have their own storyline. I don't know, again, like because I haven't watched the entire series, so I can't like say do you get vested in their story. There
Hmm.
is, and I think this is very important, a trans character.
Oh, wow, that's really nice.
I don't know how much their transness shows up as much. I know there was like some, of course, there is some transphobia that does exist because, like, in the final episode that I did watch, like, there was bits and pieces that it crept up. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting.
There was also a Loki sapphic storyline in season one, so they're definitely like
There
um
is a lot of sapphic representation here as well. There's no storyline, I don't think, but there were like people who like you could see, you could see,
mm,
you could be like,
okay. This is very side note. But you know there's this Korean artist Kim Wonki that June posts a lot of like art of. He is TOP's great uncle.
see, again, just taking from society. They're inspired by, because nepotism is everywhere. That was our thoughts of Squid Game. There were a lot of thoughts. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments. Are you watching it? Are you skipping it? Are you waiting for season three? Are you who like again, like, do you have people who you're rooting for in this
Mm,
season? Should I go and watch the rest of the episodes? Actually, I am rooting for Junho. I don't even know what he wants. Does he just want to find the island? What does he do when he finds the island?
mm,
Because what it feels like is he wants to find the island to prove to people that he's not crazy and hasn't come up with the story. And I think that's kind of it. And honestly, I'm here for that because that gets petty. Like, it
yeah.
doesn't, there's no greater scheme of like bhai ko bachana. No, it is like, I want to prove I am not crazy.
Yeah. I just think he's hot, so I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, that too. That too. We must always root for the hot boys. Nobody's
Yeah.
rooting for them. They have nothing going for them.
I also think it's
Forget
very
it.
interesting that Squid Games, sorry, does not A, feature a romantic storyline at the center of its story, and two, does not have like a hot main character. Like, okay, it has like a good art actor as its main guy, but like let's be honest, Lee Jung Jae isn't like your typical
Hottie.
dream boy. Yeah, like he's not your basic level hottie, and I think that's very interesting that the most successful K drama of all time does not follow any of the typical K drama tropes.
Fair. It does have a rich CEO person coming in to save the poor person. So, that is a very drama trope. And I feel like, honestly, would anybody buy if somebody really beautiful, like if you look at Junho's actor, like the guy who plays Junho, would you buy it if he was like the one who was struggling to pay off his debt?
Hey,
Or would
everyone
you not?
loves a hot loser.
No, but he wouldn't be a hot loser, right? Like if the minute he'd be in debt, somebody would be like, "Hey, why don't you model?" And he'd be like, "Yeah," and then make coin.
Mm,
Jung Jae-in can't do that.
yeah. And like if Jung Jae was hot, would his wife even leave him?
Yeah. And as we know, hot men aren't absentee daddies. They're present for their child. I'm like, honestly, how can I root for a man who's just like revenge versus child? Like, I grew up watching Taken, okay? And he was going to do all the things for his
Sure.
child.
Yeah. Yeah, like we really root for an absentee dad? Let us know.
In
Can
this
you?
economy, like when you have the money as well, imagine.
I love how you can't let that go.
Like, I'm just like, if you didn't have money and you have to go make money, so you leave your family behind,
Hmm.
um, fine, I guess. But like, this is just vengeance versus anything.
Yeah. Facts.
Okay, we will be back in 2 weeks with a brand new episode where we might be talking about something very exciting happening in 2025. I'll give you a guess. It has seven in it. How do you make a seven in it?
What is it?
Got Seven's release. Got Seven reunion. Just because TOP has left the music industry doesn't mean the others have.
Hmm.
People come back together, like Oasis reunited. Why can't Got Seven?
Yeah. And MCR is back too.
Oh yeah, it is 2025 the year of the reunions.
Mm. Let's find out.
Okay. Um, so yeah, stay tuned, subscribe, watch us on YouTube if you want. If you can just listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcast. We are also on Instagram at NoonaTalk, exactly like it sounds. We will be back in 2 weeks. I was Zara.
Sophia. Bye.
Bye.